Let's start in a constructive rest pose. So we're on the floor, we've got the legs bent. First of all, we're just going to stay here for a few cycles of breath. Okay, this just allows the spine to decompress, lets it lengthen, releases any tension. And then to warm up for this practice, we'll do some sloshing. So I'm going to dig my heels into the floor and then sort of tap my feet so that I begin to, well, slosh back and forth. So this is going to release any stiffness that's in the back, and it also just helps to increase the circulation. Like I said, it's a warm-up, kind of preparing us for movement. You can stay in that constructive rest, and you can stay in this sloshing pose for just as long as you like. I'm going to slow it on down here, and then come to a stop. From here, I want to zip up my core, so that's pelvic floor, low belly, all along the vertebrae. And then I'll do a head press. So keeping my face looking directly up towards the ceiling. On an exhale, I just press my head into the floor. So I'm engaging the upper back neck muscles. On the inhale, I release. Exhale, let's press and hold. Inhale, release. Once more, exhale, press the back of the head into the floor, hold, and release. And we'll move on down to a shoulder press. So for the shoulder press, it's two parts. On the inhale, we want to think of lengthening through the collarbones or widening through the shoulders. And then on the exhale, press the tops of the shoulders in towards the floor as if I had pressed a sponge underneath the top of your shoulders, and you just want to press the water out of that sponge. So that's the visual. It helps me. Maybe it'll help you. So my arms are nice and long and relaxed. On the inhale, I think of lengthening or widening the shoulders, lengthening the collarbones. And then on the exhale, squeeze those sponges. We're just pressing the tops of the shoulders into the floor. Now, if you notice that your back arches or your ribs lift, then you might want to zip up the core first. Otherwise, you actually don't need to. Okay, so then we release. Now, another inhale, we widen the shoulders. And then exhaling, we press the shoulders. Hold for another count. And release one more time. On the inhale, let's widen the shoulders. Exhale, shoulder press. Good. Now we'll take some side lengtheners. So on an inhale, let's just stretch the right arm and left leg out long. So we're moving the arm from the ribs, we're moving the leg from the hips. That's why it's a side lengthener. And then we come back. Left arm and leg. We just stretch it out, long as it'll go, and then bring it back in. Now, I didn't tell you to zip up the core, so if you didn't zip it up now, and we'll do that once more on each side. Maybe notice if there's any difference when you don't zip up the core or you do, but we lengthen through the spine, we keep the spine neutral, neither arched nor flattened. Come back down. Left side once more, arm and leg lengthen. Lengthen some more and some more. And come back down. And then we take it to a diagonal. So definitely do keep the core zipped up here. Right arm, left leg, reaching them out as far as they'll go. And then return. Left arm, right leg, extending out long, holding, and returning. And then we'll do all the limbs, arms and legs. Stretch them all out long. Keep the core zipped up. Reach, reach, reach. Maybe even wiggle here, right side, left side, back and forth. It's like a morning stretch, a total body yawn here. And then leave the legs long, walk the legs in so they're touching each other, and press the thighs into the floor here. Let the arms come out like a Y, wide enough so that you can touch down, and then press the arms into the floor. Hold here. Everything's pressing down. And then you can release the legs, walk the feet in so that the legs are bent. We'll bring the arms back overhead, interlace the fingers, let the elbows bend so you can slide the hands underneath the head. From here, press the elbows into the floor, lift through the sternum bone, so the very center of the chest is just like there's a string and someone is pulling it up towards the ceiling as you press in with the elbows. It's a very gentle, very subtle back bend. And then release. We'll let the arms return to the sides, and we'll waken up the deep core just a little more. So we'll zip up the core and then just take some toe dips. So your feet are just lightly touching the floor. And one at a time, we lift the legs up and down so that when your leg is lifted, your knee is on top of the hip, shin is parallel to the floor. And then when you lower it down, you don't just plant it on the floor, you just lightly touch it so that your core, your deep core, that deep low belly especially, has to stay engaged. Now, this becomes easy for you. You just start the other way. You start with the legs both lifted, and then you let one foot just barely tap down, and then the other, back and forth. Again, it's a little bit of a core strengthener, but mostly it's just creating that awareness of the core and a nice little reset. All right, so we'll set the feet back down, and then we'll roll to prone position. So just lengthen the arm and leg near the side where you have the towels ready, and roll on over to your support so that you have your pelvis on the folded towel, especially the hips and the hip creases. And then you have a little bit of a towel for your forehead so that when you are laying down, your neck is in alignment with the rest of the spine, with their nose pointing to the floor. You can have the arms out like a T. And we'll take a pelvic press here. So we'll breathe in, and then on the exhale, press your hip creases into the towel. Feel how the glutes and the hamstrings naturally engage. Hold, and then release. Again, on an exhale, press your hip creases into the towel, into the floor. Hold, and then release. Okay, we'll move up to the head now and the back of the neck. So with this next breath, I want you to continue to look at the floor, keep your nose pointing to the floor, but lift your head just a couple of inches so that you're engaging the back of the neck. And then lower the head back down. Do that again. We lift the head, but we stay looking down at the floor. And then we lower. Once more, we lift the head. And lower. Now we'll put those together and add on for a total body lift. So walk the legs in so that they are touching. The legs can move as a unit. Do the pelvic press, so we're pressing the hip creases into the mat. Press so much and begin to engage the glutes and the hamstrings so that you lift the legs using the glute and the hamstring muscles. Lift the legs off the floor. And then zip up the core if you haven't already. And then lift the arms. Again, it can just be a few inches. And lift your head. Stay looking down at the floor. Think of lengthening the spine from the crown of the head all the way down to the feet. Take a couple more breaths here. Feel that full, total backside engagement here. We're setting ourselves up for good posture for the rest of the day. And then with the next exhale, lower the legs, the arms, the head. Take a breath. And then slide the hands in so they're next to the sides. You can press through a tabletop, so hands and knees, and then leave the knees, or leave the hips over the knees. We'll walk the hands forward, and I like to move my towel so that I can rest my forehead on the towel. Walk the arms out straight overhead, so it's just the hands that are touching the floor. The arms are not, the arms are straight. And we'll come into a puppy pose. So I'm gonna let my forehead rest on this towel. You can make the towel just as tall as you need it to be. Hips are stacked over the knees. Arms are stretched, so we're getting a really nice stretch throughout the back and the hips. One more breath here. And then start to walk the hands back in. You make your way on up to standing. And just notice how you feel when you're standing upright. I think you'll find that you feel taller and just very open and very, very vibrant, very alive. So see how you feel.